From steak to roller coasters, and Botox to electric cars.
Oh, that's so fun!
Each week, we look at some of the new Irish science behind an aspect of modern life. On tonight's show, we find out 10 things to know about smarter, more connected living. As developments in renewable energies and smart technologies are impacting our daily lives, Kathriona visits a state-of-the-art smart house to find out more.
No way!
I find out what makes Amsterdam such a smart city. And Jonathan takes the plunge to investigate the world's first sub-sea cable repair. Technology has transformed our lives. From the telegram to the telephone to radio and television. But in recent decades, the mobile phone and the internet have arguably had the biggest effect on all of our everyday lives. Smarter living depends on connecting people, power and things. And to do that, you need a smart grid. A smart grid allows two-way communication between the consumer and the grid. It connects everyday objects to each other and it integrates renewable energy into our power system. The smart grid is revolutionising the way we use energy. It's giving us smarter homes, smarter buildings, and now even smarter cities. And Amsterdam is a great example of a smart, connected city. As European Capital of Innovation in 2016, it's fast becoming one of the smartest cities in the world. Definitions vary, but a smart city is one that uses technologies such as wireless networks and apps to improve quality of life. It's no longer enough to have clean streets and good public transport. Cities must now be able to have all that and use data to calculate consumption, maximise resources and manage traffic too. A truly smart city offers a range of renewable energy types as well. I spoke to Ger Barron, who's Chief Technology Officer of the Smart City programme in Amsterdam.
It's a journey we're in at the moment. I mean, being a smart or connected city actually, I think means that citizens have more opportunity basically to control their own use of energy and more control on how they go from A to B, etc. I mean, when you think about the impact of technology in our society, I mean, like the energy sector is a great example. 10 years ago, we had one energy company in Amsterdam that created the energy from a coal plant, that distributed the energy through the energy grid, and that sold the energy to the citizens. Nowadays, I think we have 500 to 600 companies that are active in the field of energy. Some of them doing solar panels, some of them doing batteries or other kinds of storage. And the same is happening to the mobility sector.
Everything in this city seems to be going electric. The bikes, boats, taxis, and of course the cars, which are actually available to rent. Now, Joost, you live here. Can you tell me, how does this work?
It's real easy. It works with an app. There's a couple of hundreds of these cars in the city. What you can do is you just reserve a car, you push in a code inside of the car and you just drive off.
All this electric transport has health benefits too. With cleaner air and less congestion, taxis and even the famous boat tours are all going electric. One of Amsterdam's latest experiments is the shared space, a chaotic intersection with no road markings and every form of transport.
It's behind the central station. It's where all the Amsterdammers meet coming off the ferry. The city has decided to let everybody go its own way here.
Okay.
It has come out last month that it's safer right now than it was before.
So I would say the DNA of the city is the key of your smart city project. It's not that you could copy Singapore or Beijing to Dublin or to Amsterdam. Germans and French people, they have this big infrastructures of government, and I mean, we are fine with creative destruction, I would say. So we're very happy to get rid of the old stuff and come up with the new stuff. And actually that's an advantage in these times, I would say, because this is continuously what we need to do.
I like that, so not to be afraid of new ideas.
Absolutely.
A smart grid creates a system where the generation, transport and consumption of power is linked intelligently. In 2010, Ireland's grid was ranked third smartest in the world by IBM, largely due to how it integrates wind energy. Switching from fossil fuels to renewables like wind energy has its challenges, of course, as Paul Mulvaney, ESB's Head of Innovation, explains.
You can't just switch them on and off when you want. So you can use solar when the sun shines, you can use wind when the wind blows, you can use tidal when there are waves. And really the challenge is to have a blend of all those things so that they're not all on and off at the one time, and also really to have storage. Storage is key, really. You know, the more energy that you can store, the more renewables you can incorporate on the system. But that storage can take lots of different forms. Like if you have an electric car, it'll be possible to store energy in the car. And if you say you don't need that energy, you could sell that back to the grid in the future.
By then, hopefully more of us will have switched to electric cars, because despite lower running costs and incentives like purchase grants, there are still only around 2,000 eCars in Ireland, even though the infrastructure exists for many more.
For thousands and thousands and thousands of cars, the infrastructure is there. What really drives electric vehicle uptake in other countries is incentives. So for example, in Norway, you can use the bus lanes, you have free parking, you have free fuel. If you do your driving test in an electric car, it's free. It's just a question of giving people the confidence or the incentive to make the move.
Governments and car companies are investing millions in supporting the switch. However, issues remain over battery life and the cost of the cars themselves. Revolutionary company Tesla is at the forefront of solving these issues. I'm about to test drive this gorgeous Tesla Model S P90D, which apparently goes from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just 3 seconds. I think I better check that out. Car is so easy to drive. I feel like I've been driving it for years. I'm gonna go from 20 kilometers per hour and I'm gonna put the foot down. Oh my God. That is brilliant. Wow. That is such a rush. I love it. Now, this is the state-of-the-art model. It is expensive. It's too expensive, 145,000 euro. Not a chance. Okay, I'm gonna try and put it in auto drive. Now, because I'm in traffic and because there are defined lines in the road, it should be able to drive itself. Okay, the car's driving itself. It's using the car in front of it to say what speed it's at. There's a slight deviation here, and it's doing it. This is amazing. It's a little bit weird. What could I be doing? Could be reading a book, could I? When eCars first came out, I remember people complaining that the batteries didn't last long enough and there weren't enough charge points. But things have changed in the last couple of years. Ireland now has an integrated public charge point network, and this Tesla S model can go for 316 miles before having to be recharged. That's going to get me home to Mayo. With the Nissan Leaf available from under 22,000 euro, there's a wide range of eCars to choose from, with some very enthusiastic owners. Why did you get it done? What was the decision?
I got it because I do my bit for the planet and it's quite economical. I spent €100 a week on petrol, and now I spend about I reckon about €5.
Wow.
So it is big savings.
Eco-friendly, stop pollution, maybe save the planet, help save it.
And are there cons to it as well as the pros?
Yeah, you have to give yourself the extra time for the journey.
Right.
Because you have to stop and charge.
Most cars are manufactured in more than one plant, and the final vehicles get sold all around the world, meaning they end up having to connect to different mobile operators and need many different SIM cards. This creates a massive logistical issue in terms of connectivity for car manufacturers, which Dublin's Cubic Telecom seem to have solved.
We have ultimately removed the physical plastic SIM card and created a software that can sit on a chipset. So on this tiny little piece of silicone, we can upload any type of software for mobile operators around the world. This will efficiently and seamlessly give local connectivity at a local price to any vehicle, laptop, tablet or healthcare device.
Their new SIM card uses local networks, so it's not roaming. If you drive to France, for example, the technology sees you're in France and swaps you onto a French network without you having to worry.
Ultimately, what we've designed now is Wi-Fi in the car. All of a sudden now, the experience of driving really comes connected and in real time. We can tell you where the cheapest prices are to get fuel, where the best places is to get parking. This has now opened up the doors to work with the likes of water companies, metering companies.
With over €30 million invested, Cubic is already supplying its new technology to Audi. So watch this space for more developments from this Irish success story.
Of course, smarter, connected living is about a lot more than just transport. In the future, our houses too will be powered by renewable energy and everything will be plugged into the smart grid. The revolution is already happening with buildings like this state-of-the-art home, where I'm meeting CEO Paul Kenny of the Tipperary Energy Agency to learn about the developments of greener, smarter living in our homes.
So in this house, what we have is what's called an air source heat pump. And that essentially means that the heat is taken out of the air outside and upgraded to a higher temperature and used in radiators or underfloor heating or hot water heating on the inside.
If you're sitting outside and it's 12 degrees, you're adding a little bit of electricity to that to bump it up to a comfortable temperature inside.
Yeah.
One of the advantages of these heating systems is that you can meter how much they cost. This huge house runs for around €2 a day. That's about €800 a year. The average household spends €1,200 on gas or €1,400 on oil. And why don't we all have these heat pumps in our house already?
So there's a challenge, and the big challenge with heat pumps is they're not cheap to put in. So an oil or a gas boiler might cost you $2,000 or $2,500 to install. A heat pump might be $8,000 or $10,000 depending on the size of your house. And they are a little bit more complicated to install. They're actually easier to run because once you have installed a heat pump in your house, you set the temperature in September and you forget about it, and your house stays warm all the time.
The heating system isn't the only smart thing about this house. It's also full of smart technology, all of which can be easily controlled by your mobile phone, as Alan Clark of TechFit shows me.
Well, we'll start with everyone's favourite, home security. They can go in, go to the cameras, and they can obviously check and see if everything's okay at home.
So you could look at this on your mobile if you're in the office. You can check that someone is at your front gate or not.
Exactly. So
Right.
whether you're sitting in the house, whether you're in your office, whether you're on holiday.
Having a smart house isn't just about having smart devices. It means that all those devices are connected to work together, controlled by your mobile phone or one simple remote for your windows, curtains, lights, music, radio, TV, your cinema, naturally, even your waterfall. And of course, your kitchen appliances. One of the beauties of a smart house is that everything is centralised in one comms cabinet, so you don't have masses of wires and cables all over the place. But the smartness of this house doesn't stop here. They've thought of everything to make life easier, like a robotic window cleaner.
You spray your window cleaner onto the pad itself. There's a suction pump here which keeps it connected to the window. You press it on, pick up your remote control.
No way! That's ridiculous.
And away she goes.
Look at it. Do you have to guide it or does it do it itself?
Oh no,
you do it
itself.
All our prayers have been answered with the creation of the WinBot.
Exactly.
It's not only window cleaners that need to look out. Robots can clean your floors too.
It will map the area that it's working in, give you back reports. It's got sensors on it so it doesn't brush off your furniture, it doesn't fall down the stairs.
So you come back and your house is clean.
Exactly.
That's the kind of gadget I'd be interested in now, to be honest. Does it just mean that all homeowners in the future just become really lazy?
Yeah, if they want to, they can, but generally that's not what this system is for. Most of our clients, they want convenience, they want easy living, and they want to declutter the house of cables and boxes and music systems.
And remote controls.
And remote controls, that's the one thing, this is controllable from your phone, your tablet, and one remote control.
Smarter living may not come cheap initially, but by switching to renewable energy and more connected systems, you will save money in the long term, and you'll help to save the planet.
What we would always encourage people to do is to think about the bigger picture, taking the longer view in terms of the environmental things. When environmentalism becomes the new Ralph Lauren or whatever it is, the brand that people want, that's when we're really going to unlock the potential of people to change the way they use energy and really trying to take out all of that fossil fuel that powers our lives and say no thanks.
And someone coming in going, I love what you've done with the place and no fossil fuels.
Yeah, we need people to frame their building energy rating as A on it.
Yeah, their ESB bill, zero.
Zero.
We've heard of the Internet of Things, but how about the Internet of Cows? Standing heat is the time when a cow is most fertile and the best time for artificial insemination. The problem is, cows most frequently enter standing heat during the night, meaning little sleep for farmers. On top of that, the early hours of standing heat are more likely to produce female calves, with the later hours more likely to produce males. With the Internet of Cows, all of this is solved. A pedometer, essentially a large Fitbit, is attached to a cow's leg. When a cow enters standing heat, a peak in the number of steps is recorded, and the sensor sends a simple text to the farmer. If the farmer wants a young heifer, he gets up. But if he wants a young bull, he just rolls over and gets another few hours sleep. Just over 9 months later, Irish farmers will again find themselves in a sleep-deprived state during calving season. The Irish developed moo call is a wearable sensor which is attached to a pregnant cow's tail, effectively turning the tail into a radio transmitter. When the labour contractions start, their tails go into overdrive, and the moo call's motion detector sends a text to the farmer, removing the need to keep vigil over pregnant cows. Farmers of Ireland, with the Internet of Cows, you can now sleep well. See you next time.
It's been a difficult weekend for residents and visitors to the Aran Islands of Innisfeer and Inishmane in County Galway. The islands have been left without power since early Friday morning due to a fault on a subsea cable. Businesses without generators say they have lost thousands of euros due to the power cut.
As we're an island, connected to other islands, many of the power and information cables that make up our grid are buried at sea, as deep as 1,000 metres underwater. If those subsea cables break, whole communities can be plunged into darkness, affecting lives and livelihoods, as recently happened on the Aran Islands. And up until now, fixing those cables cost a small fortune.
A team of Irish engineers have come up with an innovative and cost-effective way of repairing these cables under the sea.
The first problem is finding out the exact location of the fault.
When a cable fault happens at sea, it's a massive issue. It's a little bit like trying to find a needle in a haystack, trying to locate the fault. And some of these cables can be over 100 kilometres in length. So we have devised a way of being able to detect the exact position of the cable fault in the seabed.
They shine a laser into the cable, which causes a reflection back at the point of the fault. Measuring that reflection helps them to pinpoint the exact position of the fault. But the real ingenuity lies in how they repair it.
Typical conventional methods can be very, very costly, quite a long duration at sea, and quite a complex exercise. You have to cut the cable for a conventional method, you have to bring it up onto a vessel, and you have to splice in a new section of the cable. That often requires large sections of the seabed to be excavated, so you can imagine the amount of work that's involved in that. We developed a world first. It's almost like an underwater incubation chamber. A unique way of being able to repair the cable in situ on the seabed using divers. So there's no excavation, we can go straight to the exact position of the fault location, and we can deploy our unique habitat, and we can start fixing the cable in situ. You see the habitat here under the water. There's actually quite a lot of science behind this, and the joint design is quite complex. If you even have a small speck of dirt inside one of these tapes, it can cause an electrical breakdown. So in this particular repair, for instance, we have 30 different layers and we have 14 different types of tapes that are applied during the application of a completed joint.
14 different types of tape.
Absolutely.
The first time the Habitat was used to repair the Moyle interconnector between Northern Ireland and Great Britain, it was a huge success. So much so that ESB International are now teaching this skilled work to engineers and divers at a training centre in Wexford, where it's time for me to try out this underwater repair method for myself.
When you go into the water first, just hold on to the ladder, because once you're off the ladder, you just go to the bottom.
Okay.
Okay, this is a bit of a rough process. Okay, so happy enough? Okay, into the water, hold on to the ladder. Okay, Jonathan, Barry here. Can you hear me?
Okay. It's so easy to understand why people would freak out doing something like this. It's such an unnatural feeling.
Yeah, your body wants to reject it.
Putting my right hand in, what looks like to be sort of a vacuum tube. Okay, my right hand is now in.
Roger that. Right hand is secure. We're ready for your left hand. Same process again.
Copy that.
Roger that. We're going to put you to work now, so Jonathan, we're just going to dry out the Habitat with the rags that are there, okay?
Copy. Sort of feels like the sort of operations you might do on space. Everything is slow and deliberate. Of course, any mistake here could be quite expensive.
Having dried out the Habitat, I needed to resurface for some fresh air.
Oh my God. It is a very unnatural feeling being under the water like that, but you forget about it after a while. So much gear. Is it a dangerous thing to do?
No, we have very, very strict regulations around diving. The Habitat was actually developed around divers, and divers were engaged in the whole process of developing it to make sure that it's ergonomically suitable for them to be able to work in. So it's a very, very useful tool to have.
ESB International recently used this tool to fix the damaged power cable to the Aran Islands. First, they located the broken cable 2 kilometers off the coast, and then they fixed it underwater using the Habitat system. The Habitat is a major feat of engineering and has huge potential for fixing all types of undersea cables, including those that connect offshore wind farms.
With our Habitat, we can fix the repair in situ, so there is massive benefit for a large variety of cables that exist on the market at the moment.
That's our 10 things to know about smarter living. Next week, we find out what Irish science is doing to tackle some of the invasive aliens that are threatening our lives and environment.